We're going to take a moment here to take in Kamala Harris yesterday. 75,000 people in the National Mall at the Ellipse, the site of, the January 6th insurrection led by Donald Trump. The reason why Donald Trump no longer has a VP and had to pick up Peter Thiel's little tech bro, J.D. Vance, right? The tech bro political creation named J.D. Vance. Because here at the National Mall at the Ellipse, Donald Trump led a band of people who pissed on the Capitol, shattered windows at the Capitol, roughed up 140 law enforcement officers at the Capitol, and wanted to hang Mike Pence because he wouldn't overturn the Constitution. So we're going to take a moment to just take all that in. I love this photo. We need to alternate this. You ready, guys? Because they both had events at the National Mall. At the Ellipse, Donald Trump's was back in 2021, and Kamala Harris's was yesterday. But let's look at the difference between these two. There's Donald Trump's. Dude! And there's Kamala Harris's. Dude, you notice a difference? That's the MAGA supporters, and there's the Kamala Harris supporters. Big difference. There's 75,000 people there. Kamala Harris or Donald Trump? The choice is yours, guys. The choice is yours. These are two very stark, different scenes that occurred in the exact same location. This is our choice. This is our presidential campaign. This is MAGA. This is about as MAGA as it gets. They want to piss on the Capitol and break shit. So the Trump video is really something else. Of course, he's just a reactionary, trolly politician. This is his shtick. He's not going to address the issues with their behavior, with their racism, with their xenophobia, with their misogyny, all the real issues. Now watch this. He's not well.
250 million people are not garbage.
So here he comes out, and the first thing he says is he's doing his big reality TV stunt. He comes out and he says 250 million people are not garbage. Now, first off, MAGA is not 250 million people. There's 330 million people, give or take, in America, and MAGA is maybe 70 million of them, 75 million of them. That's about it. It's not 250 million people. So he comes out with a lie while he's grandstanding, but watch him when he tries to open the door to this truck.
250 million people are not garbage. I can tell you who the real garbage is, but we won't say that.
Now watch him. Watch this. You see that? Did you see that? He almost fell over and lost his balance simply opening the door to this garbage truck. Of course, this is all staged. They created this. They're creating their big moment for him to come out and say his viral sound bit. I mean, he's literally just creating TikTok content at this point. He is like a shitty kick streamer. He's like the lowest grade kick streamer, but the problem is this. Right there, right? Him appearing almost drunk and him having trouble getting into that vehicle. Now, the reason why there's a problem here is because some shit went down in 2019. We need to address this. Because Donald Trump, there have been a lot of questions about his physical well-being, about him short-circuiting mentally, slurring words. Right there, he appeared drunk. He doesn't drink. He doesn't use any substances, but he appeared drunk trying to open that door. And the slurring of words, again, he doesn't engage in any alcohol usage, but he slurs his words a lot. So now the obvious thought is that he's had some sort of a stroke or some type of sundowning or dementia he has grappled with. Guys, this is not an isolated instance. There have been many instances of him having walking trouble. Remember when he got shot at a big deal about his shoes.
Come on. Let me get my shoes. Let me get my shoes.
I got you, sir. I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes, sir.
Hold that in your head. It's bloody.
So we gotta move to the bus. Let me get my shoes.
I think he's wearing special shoes. He had this unannounced visit to Walter Reed Medical Center in 2019, where they suspect that he has had a stroke and maybe multiple strokes. And this is part of the reason why they've kept his medical records under wrap. Nobody has released any medical records on him in years, guys. None. And that's highly unusual for a president. The only medical records that ever get released is a statement from Ronnie Jackson, his, loyal acolyte. And believe me when I say this, that I have been watching him now like crazy. We have had a microscope on him, watching videos of him. There has been a massive decline in mental acuity. And it's not just like Joe Biden's age and spaciness. It's like motor function shit that is consistent with somebody who has had a stroke. Absolutely consistent. If you've had relatives who have had strokes. During a campaign stop in Green Bay, Donald Trump's physical health once again became the center of attention. Attempting to climb into a garbage truck for a staged photo op, Trump appeared off balance as he missed the door handle, causing him to stumble and drag his right leg. A movement that's become a frequent occurrence and is leading to mounting concerns about his fitness to hold office. Again, that right leg thing, that dragging foot, it has been a repeat occurrence. And in fact, the shoes thing, he wouldn't leave without his shoes in Butler back in July. This concerning moment sent a ripple through social media, fueling speculation about Trump's overall stability and health, Trump's recurring struggles with his right leg, showing numerous instances where the former president has had difficulty lifting his leg, maintaining balance, or displaying the physical agility typically expected of a candidate. Trump has repeatedly refused to release his full health records. Let's look at this montage of him dragging his right leg. Right? There it is again. Dude, there's something going on.
Can I have some too?
Dude, yeah, you can see it. There is definitely something going on with his right leg. The suspicion is based around that Walter Reed visit, which we're going to get into here in a minute. The Las Vegas Sun published a damning piece on Wednesday addressing Trump's health concern. They wrote, as Trump continues his bid for a second term in the White House, there's an unsettling and undeniable shift that is leading many experts, observers, and even some Trump supporters to conclude that the former president's mental acuity and sharpness are also in decline, that his physical health and stamina are waning, and that his frustration and anger are boiling over. Now, of course, why this is important is because obviously J.D. Vance being in the White House could be extraordinarily damaging to America. He is a Heritage Foundation, evangelical nut job, tech bro, Peter Thiel, conspiracy theorist, national abortion ban, Project 2025 to the hilt. Mother J.D. Vance is. And that's super problematic. While Trump refuses to release his medical details, his reluctance only adds to the speculation. If elected, Trump would be the oldest president ever inaugurated, putting him under heightened scrutiny for his physical and cognitive resilience. His repeated episodes of imbalance and difficulty walking could suggest an underlying condition, a possibility Trump's camp continues to dismiss without substantive explanation. In 2020, Trump raised suspicions after he mysteriously tweeted he had not had a series of mini strokes. It never ends. Now they're trying to say your favorite president, me, went to Walter Reed Medical Center having suffered a series of mini strokes. Never happened to this candidate. Fake news, he tweeted. Hours later, a White House physician released a statement also saying Trump had not experienced a stroke or mini strokes, but not a single news outlet had speculated Trump had any strokes at the time until Trump tweeted that out. So he tweeted it before people speculated, which is highly unusual. To me, that's a problem. Somebody's exhibiting behavior that is consistent with maybe a stroke, and then you have these weird details around it where, without even being accused of it, he's denying that he had a stroke, like trying to get out in front of something that there wasn't anything to get out in front of after that surprise visit to Walter Reed. And then he's got some behavior that definitely makes it seem like he's had a stroke, with the slurring, the leg dragging, the weird sort of off-balance shit, and him sort of being zonked a lot of the time. The slurring, while not being a drinker, is super problematic. So back in 2019, Trump made an unannounced visit to Walter Reed Medical Center, which some medical experts speculated was due to a stroke. Has he had stroke since then? He needs to release his medical records. And this is really about a larger thing of like his transparency or lack thereof. Even when he ran for president the first time, he never released his tax returns. He said he would. He won't release his school records. He threatens lawsuits to hide his school transcripts. And he won't release any medical records, even after the shooting in Butler, Pennsylvania.
His inability to say words sometimes worries me tremendously. He is having trouble word finding when he said United States instead of United States. These aren't words, these aren't slips of the tongue.
Right.
These are words, he can't find them. And this is happening over and over again. Comedians joke about it, but it's not a joking matter. I think there is a neurological issue that is not being addressed. The worry that I have is that maybe he's having small strokes. And, we had that once before in the White House when Woodrow Wilson was president. His inability to find words is peculiar and has not been explained.
See, that's one of the things that's really interesting about it, is that inability to find words. Because it's not just him saying the United Schmates or whatever, a word miss. He's like talking about whales and he says waffles. It's not just a word mix-up. It's like a complete breakdown of gobbledygook where he can't even get out the pronunciation, which again, those types of loss of motor functions in our vocal abilities, those types of loss of motor functions where we drag a limb or we lose strength in limbs temporarily, are consistent with having had a stroke or some type of larger scale debilitating condition. But what's coming to a head here is the fact that this man is 78 years old and he's running for president for 4 years, and we don't have access to any of his medical records after supposedly surviving a shooting, the mystery ear wound that just came and went like that with no visible damage. That also reeks of bullshit. We never saw the medical records around that. Everything about him is hidden and in the shadows and completely a lack of transparency across the board, which I think is really problematic. We need transparency. After the shooting, there should have been transparency. Nothing about this man who potentially is going to die in office, if he were to win, should be hidden. Nothing about his medical records should be hidden. This needs to be an open book. And right now it's not. And in fact, we're seeing a lot of signs of him having some type of palsy or some type of debilitative episode. Those of you who have had elderly parents, you know the signs of this type of stuff. My mom's brother had several strokes, and they led to like a partial paralysis of his face. Sometimes people have them and you don't even know, you're not even aware they had them because the symptoms aren't really bad, but then they kind of like come and go. Strokes are really, I don't know, they're mysterious in a way because it's not like A happens and B damage appears and C is the end result. Somebody can have a stroke and not even know it. And then, weeks later, they can start slurring and have episodes, and you kind of drift in and out of the stroke episode. This is a greater issue, okay? There is a series of troubling things with Donald Trump where something is definitely wrong with his health. This is really interesting because today was a day where Donald Trump has decided to make his day about memeing Joe Biden's comment, because obviously this entire stunt is just a telegraphed fake stunt in a garbage truck trying to create some sort of viral meme content for teenage boys, I presume, to be the cool whatever, you know, his reality TV version of a fucking president, which is disturbing. But look at what Politics Girl said about this, because I think she really nailed it on the head. Watch this clip.
Here's the thing. I think it's weird that we're asking Kamala to answer for what Joe Biden said, but we're not asking Trump to answer for what Trump says, right? Like, this is the thing. We're talking about garbage. He's cosplaying as another working class person. But his quote, he's quoted, I mean, you see him at the end of that quote, but his quote from Wisconsin was, "It's not her, it's the people around her. They're scum, they're absolute garbage." And that's Donald Trump himself saying that. So why we're 2 days later talking about something that Joe Biden did where he tripped over his words, then corrected himself right away on Twitter, we're still talking about it 2 days later, but we're not talking about someone who says, we're scum, we're absolute garbage.
She brings up a really good point. Joe Biden has some weird speaking gaffe, and they're like, Kamala Harris, you must answer for what Joe Biden said? But Donald Trump has said scum, traitors, commies, demons. He's called her the R slur. He has attacked the enemy within and calls us radical leftists and says he needs to turn the military on American citizens and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But Trump can say whatever, crazy fascist Hitler shit, vermin, poisoning the blood, and so on and so forth. And nobody wants to hold him accountable. They lie about the Haitian immigrants, and after they knew they were lying, they continue to lie. They'll back the shitty comments about Puerto Rico. They're literally the Joe Biden people. These MAGA supporters have been wearing Joe Biden shirts and screaming Joe Biden signs. And then Joe Biden says something about garbage, and all of a sudden they want Kamala Harris to answer to this. But Trump never has to answer to anything. Whatever Joe Biden said, it has nothing to do with Kamala Harris. But dude, Donald Trump has telegraphed every insult in the book, including name calling for every person he talks about. But they don't hold him responsible for anything. Dude, Trump is reeling, bro. I mean, you see what he's doing, right? Like today he's just driving around in a garbage truck. You know, Kamala Harris is crafting this multi-point plan for the future of America and wanting to band everyone together. And Donald Trump is making content for Logan Paul or Aiden Ross's YouTube channel. That's what he's doing. That's literally what he's doing. He's just being a troll. He's being like Bosa. You know what I mean? He's showing up like Bosa with the trolling of the MAGA. Ooh, let's troll, but there's no substance. There's no message. That's been his strategy. You know, that's his crowd. Really. He's literally just trying to be the viral influencer. He does not take the job of the presidency serious at all. He can't even comprehend the gravity of the job, dude. He needs a smackdown.